And you will pay ready money. And the Englishman drew from his pocket a bundle of banknotes, which might have been twice the sum Monsieur de Bouville feared to lose. A ray of joy passed across Monsieur de Bouville's countenance. Yet he made an effort at self-control and said, "Sir, I ought to tell you that in all probability you will not realize 6% of this sum." "That is no affair of mine," replied the Englishman. "That is the affair of the house of Thomson and French, in whose name I act. They have, perhaps, some motive to serve in hastening the ruin of a rival firm. But all I know, sir, is that I am ready to hand you over this sum in exchange for your assignment of the debt. I only ask a brokerage." "Of course, that is perfectly just," cried Monsieur de Bouville. "The commission is usually 1.5. Will you have 2, 3, 5%, or even more, whatever you say?" "Sir," replied the Englishman, laughing, "I am like my house, and do not do such things. No, the commission I ask is quite different." "Name it, sir, I beg." "You are the inspector of prisons." "I have been so these 14 years. You keep the registers of entries and departures." "I do." "To these registers there are added notes relative to the prisoners." "There are special reports on every prisoner." "Well, sir, I was educated at Rome, and by a poor devil of an abbé, who disappeared suddenly. I have since learned that he was confined in the Château d'If, and I would like to learn some particulars of his death." "What was his name?" "The Abbé Faria." "Oh, I recollect him perfectly," cried Monsieur de Bouville. "He was crazy." "So they said." "Oh, he was, decidedly." "Very possibly. But what sort of madness was it?" Okay, if I didn't get it that it was Dante yesterday, I totally would have gotten it today. But what is Dante after here now? He's talking to the inspector of prisons. I asked it in passing, is this the inspector of Château d'If? Was this the one who went in and talked to Dante and was taken kind of by his sincerity and said that he would check on the thing for him, but got to the book, this book maybe that they're talking about here, and saw Villefort's note and thus didn't do anything with Dante? Is Dante trying to actually learn stuff about Faria here, or is he trying to learn stuff about himself? I gotta be honest, I'm struggling a little bit at what to comment on here. I don't feel like we've got enough information yet, but okay, let's go with this idea that this is the inspector of the Château d'If. We give him a name now, Boville. We never got that during the first iteration in the prison. Dante is now, regardless of the information he's getting, let's take a more broader look at this. He is essentially stepping back into the institution that oppressed him for so long. He is able to hide, not just behind a disguise, and one that is, listen, is he a master of disguise? He fooled me twice, so I'm going to have to say, yes, he's a master of disguise. But he's also hiding behind money, obviously. But more than that, he's hiding behind, like, there's this weird thing, I think, that happens when you have so much money that you realize how untouchable you really are. And I think that Dante recognizes that, like, no matter what happens, I am able to get out of any situation. If it comes down to just a bribe beyond the wildest dreams of the person that is, doing me harm, I can do that now. And it kind of gives a fearlessness. But how is he using this? So he's able to go back to the very person that was imprisoning him and manipulate him, kind of, but it's not the word I want to use exactly. I mean, he's tricking him in order to get something out of it. But I guess what I mean by this is, like, he could easily, if this was any other man, would be going, and when he's declining this commission for buying the stake in Morel's company, it kind of puts Boville and whoever else that he might be engaging with in the future, it puts these people on their heels a little bit. Like, oh, you're not acting the way a normal person would act. So, in addition to the money you're going to give me to buy your stake in this, you're not going to ask me also for a big commission. Okay, so what's up? What do you want? Then how are we going to, What's in it for you? And he's like, I want information. And maybe it's a weird psychological game that's like someone is more likely to give you information because it doesn't cost them anything. Is he playing on people's greed to get what he wants without, like, it's kind of the flip side of the coin. On the one hand, you've got, I will bribe you with X amount of money. On the other hand, the other side of that coin is, this is how much money you're going to save. This is how much money you aren't going to part with if you just give me this paltry information that I want. I'm curious what's going to come out of the information that he gets, but the last thing I think I want to mention is that he is posing as someone from the House of Thomson and French. Are those names, they don't seem familiar to me. This is just something he's completely come up with, right? Which is smart. I mean, if you're going to be creating these false identities, why have the hubris to put anything in it that is going to tie it back to your real identity? I know why maybe it's just because spooky season just ended and I watched a ton of horror films, as I always do. But there's this like tendency, and I don't understand why it continues to be a thing. I get why like one person did it one time to be clever, but there's this tendency in horror films to name characters or streets or schools or buildings after directors and actors of the past. And I don't get it. Like, I can't tell you how many Carpenter streets there are in horror films, or how many people are named Loomis. It's just like there's a tendency to want to name things after the things you love, and it's gonna come back to bite you at some point. So Dante's, if Thomson and French, which I can't think of anything that ties that back to his past, isn't named after something, is it a real thing? Because, that's interesting. Thomson and French, that's something someone could easily check in on. And if they find out that it's not a real place, then Dante could be in some hot water. Maybe that's a plot point coming up. Anyway, let's continue here tomorrow with a little bit more, as we are halfway through chapter 28. It's a short one. So join me here tomorrow. Okay, goodbye. The Countdown of Monte Cristo is part of the Gruntwork Podcast Network. This show is produced, edited, and hosted by Landon Solano. The original text of The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. Theme song by Magic Solo. If you want to support the show and others like it, visit patreon.com/gruntworkpod. Thank you for listening. See you tomorrow.